her as well, His or Her Holiness and Highness. I'm not prejudiced about the gender here. Okay, so thank you so much for all of you for joining. And we have around 100 participants, but I think more are still joining in the waiting room. And I hope the Michigan other people who are joining, they are able to join now, okay, because they were in the waiting room. So I would request the Vancouver team to please welcome the mic. Yeah, over to you, Sister Anu. Yeah.
Om Shanti, Brother Mike. It's such a pleasure to have you. Today, Sister Claudia is not able to join. So, on behalf of the whole Vancouver team, the team of Values for Life series, and everyone who is attending here, welcome with two beautiful little roses, fresh roses. And we are looking forward to listen to the insight on newness, innovativeness. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, and before I give it to Mike, a few housekeeping instructions, like you can switch on you can click on the button called interpretation and listen to the language you prefer in. We have quite a few languages today. I'll just revise them for you all. It is in sequence: German, French, Portuguese, Spanish, Hindi, Tamil, and Telugu. And as always, our format, we have started a bit late, but doesn't matter. The first roughly 50-55 minutes would be the talk as Brother Mike shares the screen. And after that, then we'll have a bit of Q&A. I think the Michigan people can also write down their questions. You can spontaneously ask at the end if you have all any related to newness and innovativeness. And then after that, we have the announcements and the closing meditation as always. So around 1.5 hours from now. So it's all yours. Thank you, Brother Mike. And you can start sharing your screen again.
Okay, now that's interesting because now I don't have anything to press for sharing the screen.
No, it's
let me try this. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, very warm welcome to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you very much for tuning in. As you know, this presentation today is around the whole subject of innovation, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go for 55 minutes on just this one topic. In fact, as time goes on, presentations get shorter and shorter as the speakers become more essenseful. So I think you might have to revise an hour and a half back to a little bit around an hour, maybe at the most. But certainly there'll be a chance for question and answer, and it raises many more questions than it does answer. And it really is about finding our own understanding and using our understanding in such a way that the understanding changes, because that's what innovation does. Innovation is something that is used a lot in organizations in the world, and it's talked about a lot, it's analyzed a lot, there's conferences on it, and because it's such an important and integral part of the success of any business. But of course, we're not talking about a business, we're not talking about an organization, we're talking about ourself. And so how does innovation, how is it relevant to the process that we all go through on our spiritual journey? So today is really all about innovation in a spiritual context, not in a logic context. That would be rather too easy. But to use it in a spiritual context is quite different. Excuse me. So in the material world, innovation is invention. Many people believe invention is just the creation of new ideas. But to innovate means a continuous creation of new processes, new concepts, and new ideas applied in such a way in the material world that it creates monetary value for an organization. So it's using those ideas, those processes in such a way that you create monetary value. And there's been a number of examples down through the ages, and I won't go into the details. For example, Apple are great entrepreneurs. They don't really have an original idea. They take processes and ideas, mostly around marketing and product development, etc. And that's what makes them successful in the material world marketplace. The same with Zara, the fashion people. They started off very small and they used processes, marketing, ideas. They applied them and that gave them their innovative head start to what they are today. Huge success today in the material world, in the physical world. But we're not really talking about the physical world. We're talking about the spiritual world. And so innovation for each one of us is the churning of knowledge. We receive knowledge or so-called knowledge or information every day. And we do our churning in order to discover deeper value from our own personal understanding. So the link really is finding value. And for us as individuals to find value requires what's called churning. So innovation is the churning, the continuous churning of knowledge or information in order to discover deeper value and deeper insight, if you like, from our own personal understanding, so that we don't stand still. Yeah, in many ways, it's an unlimited journey because there is no limit to what we can understand, basically, or discover within our own consciousness. And so there's always a deeper sense of value somewhere, as I'm sure many of you recognize. So this is the work of the intrapreneur. Yeah, not the entrepreneur, the intrapreneur. There probably isn't a word, such a word in the dictionary today, but for today, we invent it and apply it to ourselves. And the aim is to churn our knowledge, to discover deeper value, insight, to discover our treasure within. And those treasures, of course, we know are quite unlimited. They are, there's no limit to what we can discover within us. And it's not a good idea to get stuck. Yeah, and so to find our own way of churning. Some people do a lot of writing. Some people just a lot of conversation, talking to other people. Other people paint. And so this is the way of their churning. They use creative processes and new ideas to churn more deeply. And you can't stop churning in the journey, on the journey that you're on at the moment. So you have embarked on a process of discovering new ideas, deeper insights, and thereby greater personal value by churning and squeezing new truths from spiritual knowledge so that you are an intrapreneur. So we could apply that word to each one of us, depending on what we're doing deeply to use those new ideas, to discover those deeper insights. But we're always trying to add personal value in everything we do in a spiritual context. Yeah, so we're all intrapreneurs. We're all non-existent word for the day, which is intrapreneur. So let me give you an example of that, using the common questions which we discover or use in the context of our spiritual life. And so let's take that, the common question, the one that's been asked for thousands of years and still asked today, is who am I? You would think someone would have an answer to that question. Well, most BKs do. They say, well, I'm a soul in a body. But is that the extent of it? Or can you go more deeply than that? I think you can, and you will require innovation to go more deeply. And everyone will do this differently, do this churning differently. So if you bring the idea of time into the idea that you're a soul in a body, then maybe there was a time when you also add the idea, the insight that everything starts new and becomes old. So if you combine those three ideas, then you discover that you were not a soul in a body, but you were a body in a soul, probably around half a cycle ago. In other words, the body was in the soul, not the soul in the body. So if that is true, and it's entirely up to you to see if that is true, then you would recognize how far you have fallen from being a soul to believing you are a body. Yeah, and so we're just turning things around a little bit. So you went from the unlimited state of consciousness, the unlimited state of being, the soul basically, to being limited, to limiting yourself to something material, something physical, to a package that is very limited. So what was it like to have a consciousness that was unlimited? Yeah, can you imagine what that was like? Can you create that in your consciousness right now on your own, not for the benefit of anyone else, but just on your own? What was your consciousness like when it was unlimited in kindness, in generosity, and in compassion? And so you're going more and more deeply, and you're really going to bump into your natural state, which is way beyond being a soul in a body. You're going to come into your natural state, which is the body is within the soul, the soul. So it's worthwhile asking what gets in the way at this point in time. So you're going to churn. What's getting in the way? What's stopping me from being unlimited in kindness and generosity and compassion? Sure, the stock answer we have is, well, you're body conscious. But it's more than that. It's understanding what consciousness is, and then how it works, and then how it transforms itself, etc. So the soul is consciousness. That's what the soul is. It is conscious. It is consciousness. It's when they come together. In our consciousness, we invent different identities. I'm sure you're aware of this. And the first identity that we get stuck with is the identity of the body. And so this is the basis of body consciousness. But it goes deeper and deeper than that. And so we need to be a little bit innovative to really see that we become attached to and identify with many, many different ideas and beliefs and images. And they're kind of layered on each other as we go deeper. In fact, anything you become attached to for a few seconds or a few minutes or a few years, it constitutes your identity in that moment. And of course, we know as Brahmins, as people on a spiritual journey, that these identities are not accurate. They're not correct in a sense, but they cause us to feel what's called emotion. Yeah, and this is where emotion comes in. Whenever you get attached to anything, which means you identify with anything, yeah, then you are guaranteed to cause an emotion, energy in motion. This is why all emotion is born out of some kind of attachment. And that they're quite different from feelings. Feelings are natural states of being, whereas emotions are unnatural and are caused by you limiting yourself to an identity in your consciousness. And sometimes, well, most of the time, we are not aware of it. We don't know it. We're just not aware. And our spiritual journey is about learning to become aware. So we emote because we don't know our true self. Yeah, it's not wrong. It's not bad. I'm not condemning it. I'm not judging it. It's just what happens to most of us on the journey within. We are emoting. In other words, we become emotional because we don't know our true self, which is, well, what is the state of the true self that does not cause emotion? If I'm not emotional, what is the state of my true self? Yeah, that's the question. And that takes you to the next level, is being content within myself with being no one. In other words, I have no identity in a sense. In truth, in reality, within my consciousness, there is no false identity. There is no identity. So I'm quite content with being without an identity, with being no one. I hope you can see where I'm going. But if you know that from memory, if you know that, and you've just memorized it, well, I'm no one, yeah, I'm consciousness and I'm no one, then that would be a concept. And therefore it would be provide a sense of limitation. Yeah, I'd be using that concept of being no one, and therefore, because I'm using that concept, I would be limiting myself. So the unlimited is the free self, which has no identity, is not no one, is not someone. It's not relevant. It's just totally free of any concept, and therefore any limitation. That's how I might churn it. I might churn it differently tomorrow, and I might churn it differently the next week. But that's maybe how I would churn that particular question. So how does consciousness work? Well, we all know that there are two faculties, two functions of consciousness, the mind and the intellect. The mind generally is closed. In other words, the mind contains concepts and ideas and images which we close ourselves, we close our mind around, we hold on to them. So becoming open-minded is important, but it requires some faith, because so far our faith in life, our faith in everyday interactions with others has taken the form of I am someone, I am my name, where I come from, what I look like. And so we've placed our faith and we've invested our faith in that. But so becoming open-minded requires a different kind of faith, a new kind of faith, a faith that everything is going to be okay, regardless of how I am, of what I'm identified with it, regardless of that, because the real me, I know the real me is no one, is the soul, if you like. The soul is no one. In other words, there's no self in soul. There's a statement. There's no self in soul. Think about that. So the mind's tendency is to close around beliefs and concepts. And you can hear you expressing your beliefs and conversations. If there's any conflict in your life, you will be holding on to a belief system or some kind of concept to which the other person disagrees. And so if your mind is free and is not closed around beliefs or concepts, then it doesn't matter what anyone says, it will not bother you. It will not disturb you. It doesn't matter what happens in the world, it's okay, because you know, hey, it's just a drama. Now, those beliefs and concepts, they come from outside in. In other words, they're external sources. And they've come from outside in, either from parents, from friends, from colleagues, at some time in the past. And we've held them, hold on to them, close around them in our memory. And that's where we hold on to them. And someone says something, and it triggers a memory, and out it comes again. But originally, it came from outside in. And that's okay, it's not a problem, it's just to be understood. And so we draw in information, which is the raw material, and we create beliefs and we create concepts. Maybe we just agree with someone else that what they say is true. And so we draw it in because of our sanskar of we need neediness. And this happens when you get people, you say, well, you need to have an opinion. You need to have something to say about that. You need to have a concept around this particular area. And so that neediness leads to desire. And so we want it. We become addicted to it. And so it's good to use our neediness and our desire, so we think, to create beliefs and concepts around which we are attached, trapped in. So this is what sustains the habit of attachment at a subtle level within our consciousness. Yeah, we not just things, but the image of things, the idea of objects, the idea of people, we become attached to. And so we are kind of learning, if that's the right word, or unlearning to not have that habit, to be free of that habit, to be free within ourselves of being attached to nothing. I don't need to be attached to anything. I don't need to identify with anything if I'm to be free. That is a whole churning in itself. And it might not originally sound as if there's value to be found in these kind of statements. As you listen to me, you're just listening to information, basically. But when you go in and you experience that habit of attachment and it falling away a little by little, then you taste your own inner freedom. And so it then has value to you. That freedom begins to have real value to you in your life. So that's why it's necessary, churn, and whether you call it innovation or not, it is churning at a spiritual level. That's why it's necessary to churn and to churn and to churn and go deeper and deeper and deeper, as I'm attempting to do here. But perhaps not very well. Let's see. So the more you go beyond the limits of the mind, the more you increase your self-confidence. In other words, the more you go beyond what is mentally limiting you, or in other words, the more you are trapped in what's on your mind, concepts, images, ideas, the more you free yourself from those concepts, images, and ideas, and some of you will know this, the more you increase your self-confidence. Yeah, until there's no self-confidence, there's just confidence. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but that then increases as time goes on. That's why many people on a spiritual path notice their increase in confidence as time goes on. But that increase stops when you stop churning, looking more deeply, finding deeper value. And you will also become less reliant on authority. In other words, Baba says, you're a master almighty authority. In other words, everything you need to know, you already know. It's already there. And the more you are able to discover that, the deeper you go to discover that, the less reliant you are on external sources of insight. Yeah, the more you are self-reliant in a sense. So the intellect, it's fast asleep, and the way I might churn it, I might look at it, is the rational intellect is easy to awaken. It's not difficult. There's two kinds of intellect, the rational intellect and the intuitive intellect. And so the rational intellect is used rationally. You need to make decisions about practical things, usually external things. You know, how many people are you going to have at the program? Therefore, the number of chairs, therefore, when to start. All of these are rational decisions, basically. And that's easy to awaken the rational intellect from that point of view, because all information that comes from outside in is processed in a rational way. It's a bit noisy mentally in your mind. You notice you're thinking a lot about what A follows B follows C. You're thinking it through. You're thinking the situation through. And so it's about the rational intellect. Whereas the intuitive intellect, when you use the intellect intuitively, that requires a totally silent mind. A mind that is not creating a lot of thoughts, is not disturbing you. It's just very quiet. Yeah, very still, very calm. And then you allow your intuitive to arise from inside out. And what we're doing in our spiritual journey is allowing our realization, spiritual knowledge, realization, to emerge from within our consciousness. And so, in theory, at least, we would be doing that more deeply as time went on, as we kind of grew spiritually. We would do that more deeply, and the process would be an intuitive one. In other words, there'd be feelings arising, insights, aha moments arising from inside, and so you're using your intellect, you're awakening your intellect, and using it intuitively. And that's when you realize your own truth, you know, your own version of the truth. Far be it from me to say, but the the Murley or other people's classes or what anyone else says, including me, is not the truth to you. You know, it's just information. It's me moving my lips. But the only way you realize and discover your own truth is from within, is listening to yourself, is listening to the layers, the progressively deeper layers of your aha moments, your realizations on the inside. Other people, other sources outside may be triggers to help you to do that, for sure. They direct you to do that. They set you on the right path. But you will only find power in discovering your own truth, what it means for you. And this is why Baba says, churn your own butter, basically. And you have to be quite innovative to do that. So this brings us to the what we already know is already what we need to know is what we already know. What you need to know, you already know it. It's just a question of how deeply you're prepared to go in your journey to rediscover what is true for you. And then it might be confirming what you've heard from outside in, and there may be confirmation of the information, or it may be slightly different, or it may be maybe you go even deeper. It doesn't really matter. But what matters is you are being innovative by looking, churning, exploring. So the more you know, and this is the paradox really of the spiritual journey, the more you know, the more you gradually diminish the need to know. This is why you discover many people on their spiritual journeys will say, well, I don't need to know anything. There comes a point when they realize the less they know, the better. They already know. It's already there. It's implicit. It's merged within their consciousness. And so they don't need to know it as in knowing, as in, well, A and B and C are the right way to do things. You don't need to know that. You don't need to, you just are naturally able to work in that way. So eventually the less you need to know. In fact, it's need that's the cause of much sorrow and much suffering. And so the addiction to knowing something is necessary for a little while until you get to the point where I don't need to actually know what is going on. It's just natural. So it's quite interesting, the journey, as you can see. So what is my nature? Number 3, what is my nature? We're told love, peace, happiness, but they are words and concepts, aren't they? Aren't they just limited by the mind when you think about love and peace and happiness, your nature? We're told that, but they're just words, they're just concepts, and therefore self-limitation. You are limited by those words and concepts in your mind. So in reality, they are mixed. They don't exist on their own. Love doesn't exist on its own. Peace doesn't exist on its own. Happiness doesn't exist on its own. You know, they're mixed. And you can look at your own experience. And when you are loving towards someone, there's a little bit of peace there. You're quite happy being like that. And vice versa. And so if they're seen as the primary colors, we all mix these in different ways, but really they are mixed. And so this is why there's no such thing as a singular value. Your values, or values when they're talked about, are ultimately, they're mixed up, all mixed up. You cannot have one without a few others mixed in with it. And this is the beauty of it. But of course, we try to define it. We try to separate it. And that's what the mind does. It's limited. We try and limit these ideas, these concepts, mentally. And we forget that in reality, in real life, in the interactions of real relationships, we mix them up differently. And first, we might start with a belief, then there's a perception, and then in reality, there's a mixture, you know, a belief. Oh, I can talk about love, and love is this, and love is that. Love is perfect and beautiful, and I am love. But really, it's mixed in with the other values at the same time. And so that's a better description of reality. So the qualities of consciousness cannot be separated. I would, as I churn this, I realize that the qualities that we talk about, they're just words, concepts. They can't be separated as we try to do so. It's not possible. So our experience then places them beyond, begins to place them beyond words and concepts. In other words, we experience deep within love, peace, and happiness coming together in reality. Yeah, and so in a sense, they're beyond singular words, singular concepts, beyond defining, beyond definition. Yeah, they are experiencing. So, but wait a minute, hold on a second. Experience is illusory, isn't it? Isn't it a little bit illusory? Because you could say everything's an experience and everything is changing. Everything comes to pass. And therefore, reality and the truth is that which never changes. Well, this is a good definition. That which never changes, which is eternal. Therefore, the truth, reality, is not the same as experience. Experience changes, it moves, it comes and goes. The past is past, and there is no future, and so there's just experience. And so it's a little bit illusory, is it not? Is it? Or is it not? I lay that challenge down for you. Therefore, love, peace, and happiness are, wait a minute, they are a little bit illusory, but then they seem so real at the time. But then, of course, that was at the time, that was in the past. Now I'm here. I'm only here now. In fact, time is no such thing. There is no past, there is no future. There is just a mental idea of what it was and what it will be. And of course, that mental idea changes, it moves, it shifts. It's never the same. And so, do you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of churning away at these kind of concepts, these ideas, trying to get a sense of what is real and what is illusory. All our experience is a mixture of these and other values, all our experience. So it's constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly coming and going. It's constantly a mixture of these and other values. So you can't get stuck. This is why we have to keep dynamically moving and playing with these ideas. And yet we tell of amazing experiences we've had. We draw on memory, and we tell others of, oh, I had an amazing experience. And yet every time we tell that story, it's going to be slightly different. It's not going to be the same. It's going to depend on my mood at the time. It's going to depend on who I'm telling it to, what I want them to hear. And so they're all, while we're attached to them on the one hand, they're kind of shifting on the other hand. And so it's as if we're attached to an illusion. Is that true when we talk about our experience and we sit in a circle after the retreat and let's share our experience? I mean, how relevant is that? How much are we going into what we thought was happening? Was that the actual experience or our interpretation of that experience? And so the interpretation, it changes all the time. And so it's only kind of real, possibly in the moment. Yeah, and then it's gone. Then it's past. Just like everything else. Some passes quickly, some passes slowly, but everything comes to pass. Yeah, so interesting, isn't it? So how does karma work? Very finally, the final one. I won't go on. This is I can understand why this might be a little bit boring for some of you. Now, karma is a stored memory of past action. That's a simple definition. It's a stored memory of a past action. It gets very interesting. It's very deep, really, although it doesn't seem so at first. Action that is out of alignment with the true self. Yeah. In other words, we store the memory because the action is out of alignment with our natural state of being, our true self, basically. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. That's why people end up with with weird sides to their personality from outside. Inside, it's based on a past action which is out of alignment. What's in alignment is you being your true self and you expressing yourself. If there's one word that might describe it, it would be honestly. Then you would hardly remember it. So that action is like going against the grain of truth. In other words, you told a lie, or you did something violent towards yourself, towards others. In other words, it went against the grain of truth. You know, when a carpenter planes wood, if they go with the grain of the wood, it gets very smooth. It's very easy. But if they go against the grain of the of the wood, it's hard, and it's very difficult to plane wood to go against the grain, because everything has a grain. And so the true you, your natural state, is is there within you. But what's happened in the past half a cycle, if you like, is we've learned to go against the grain of our natural state. In other words, body consciousness. Everything we do out of body consciousness is against the grain. And that's why it becomes a real memory, a memory of reality of our past right now. So to act in accordance with what is the true you, you will carry only a subtle recording. Yeah, very subtle, very hardly anything at all. If you're acting, if you're speaking, yeah, in alignment with what is your natural true self, yeah, in other words, consciousness, the soul, you will only carry a subtle recording, because there's no need to hold on to it. If you need to hold on to a memory of something you've done, it's like unfinished business. It's unfinished business. Yeah, and that's really what karma is. It's unfinished business within yourself. Yeah, now that's going to affect you. It's going to build up, and you're acting against the truth of what you are, and the action will be remembered, and that then becomes a part of a sanskar. Yeah, that the memory of that action, which was against the grain of the true, the natural you, it's a big memory. You will not let go of it because it's unfinished. Yeah, and so it will become a part of one of your sanskars, or many of your sanskars, or just your persona, basically. This is how it forms. If you think about the first half of the cycle, if I think about it, I think that we hardly ever did anything against the grain, against our natural self. Nothing violent, nothing to blame or criticize the other. And so our memories were very, very subtle. In fact, we probably didn't even remember what we'd said or did, because it was so natural. It was so easy. Yeah, but gradually, as we move into the second half of the cycle, those actions, those memories become against the grain, against what our natural self is. So as you meet the person that you had the action towards, yeah, well, if they come into your company, if you just see them from a distance, they may trigger a reaction. Yeah. It could be a person who's similar to the person that you acted towards in an inaccurate way. It could be a person who's similar, and they could trigger a reaction. And that's what's happening. It's not that they're creating your reaction. It's not that they're responsible for your action. It's already ingrained in your consciousness as a memory that you are holding on to, because it's unfinished business, because it was impure, if you like. Yeah, it's therefore unfinished. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. And so it's caused by you and not the other person, because the other person, they do exist, but they exist primarily in your consciousness. That's one. So when you see them, they awaken the memory of them, and then the action you had towards them, which was full of emotion or violence or whatever. And so everyone is in two places at once. They're out there, but they're in your consciousness. And so you don't have karmic accounts with anyone. It's within your consciousness. itself. It seems you have a karmic account with someone, but really it's your own mistake is the wrong word. It's your own inability to act naturally in alignment with what is the truth within you. Yeah. If that makes sense. It's always you that's causing the reaction. It's never the other person that causes the reaction. We think they do. We sometimes think, some people think they do. And therefore, what do we say? Oh, I must have a karmic account with that person. No, you don't. You just have the karma recorded in your consciousness, and they are the trigger. Yeah, physically the trigger, or it might be you're lying and as soon as you think about them, they mentally become the trigger. Yeah, and so you think, oh, I've got a real karmic account with them. No, it's just you replaying what you've already done and what's already within your consciousness. And so these are just ways that I don't know. I feel it's important to churn, and it takes me deeper to a deeper understanding, and it's depthless, it's infinite, what you can discover, but we need to discover for ourselves. Yeah, sure, the classes, the workshops, and so on, they might give you a lead, a sense of direction or whatever, but we all have to do it ourselves, and that's what makes us all number wise. Really, that's what sets us at different positions, and that's just fine. That's okay. And there's no one, there's no one that's saying this is right and this is wrong. It's just how much I am prepared to churn. Because the more I churn, the deeper I go, the greater the value for me personally. Okay, that's it, really. Basically, that was me trying to give you an example of how I churn, or one of the ways I churn. And I'm sure that you might be quite different. And with that, let me stop sharing and come back to the screen to people thinking, "Ooh, what is this guy talking about?"
So wonderful, Brother Mike. As always,
Yeah.
we listen to your talks and then we sometimes feel, oh, our basics start shaking. Do we have karmic accounts? So that's
Yeah.
perfect. But you've opened a big Pandora's box by speaking about karmic accounts. I'll just take a few questions which people have started asking, not about karmic accounts, but about a few concepts which you said. I'll take first off this because I think it's a very important question, that how do I convert my spiritual knowledge into a spiritual experience? And sorry, I'll add to
Yeah.
this. It's about an experience, that how do I know that what I'm experiencing is a reality or it's an illusion? To confuse you. So see, there are quite a few people having that question. Yeah.
Um, when something is a reality, then you don't question it. You don't, the experience is not held onto. You just let it go. In other words, you have an experience and it passes, and you don't want to hold on to it. You don't, oh, I got such a good feeling from having that experience. No, you just have it and let it go. You're clear. You don't want anything from it. You don't need anything from it. You're not using it in any way. It's just happening and you move on. Yeah. And so if you hold on to it, if you get attached to the experience in any way whatsoever, it'll take you down. It'll take you down. It'll affect the quality of your consciousness. And so anytime you're holding on to something, it means you're defining it as an illusion. And so you're saying, I need this. I need to have more experience. I need this to happen for me. And so there's neediness there. And so whatever comes up, you're going to try and hold on to it. And the moment you hold on to it, it becomes like an illusion. Because we are designed, if design is the right word, we are meant to be flowing through drama, flowing through our life, to be flowing. And that means letting go of everything, not trying to stop anything, or not becoming static on anything, but you're just flowing onwards. Yeah, and this is the sign of a great soul, really. Someone who can flow, who can meet every moment fully, not bring something previous to bear, not bring something that they want to bear on a situation. You just flow, no matter what the experience is. And paradoxically, I think I'm thinking about this at the same time. Paradoxically, that's what allows you to be free. You know, if you're not doing that, then you're not free. Yeah, and that's what allows you to be light, because you're not trying to hold on to anything which is holding you down, holding you in one place. You're going to be light. There's going to be lightness. So you're going to be free and you're going to be light. And that's why all experience has no value, really. I'm not saying it's not necessary now. It's going to happen now. It's going to be now. You're going to, but trying to hold on to it is like trying to hold on to mist on the one hand, and trying to hold on to heaviness on the other hand. You know, there's many people who experience depression and they don't want to let go of it. They use it to define themselves. Oh, I'm so depressed, you know, and it's not that they are depressed. There is depression as a mood there, but it's not me. And so if they could get that, then they would let it go much more easily, instead of using it to define themselves, to identify themselves, etc. I don't know if, does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, because another question which people ask is that how can Brother Mike remain so happy? And whenever he does his talks, he's always got this hearty laugh, and which is so natural in you. And they say that he's an author of so many books, but he has this ability to not latch onto that and let go. So is that the feeling which you're able to let go, and that's the reason you're so free and light?
Yeah, I think so, because you know I'm very easygoing anyway by nature, and so I've been blessed with that ever since the first days on a spiritual journey, and so it's always remained with me. My sense of humor has been revised in time. You know, I've lost my old sense of humor, and it's a newer sense of humor, if that's the right term. But yeah, I mean, basically, yes, I'm you know, the more I churn, the more free I feel.
Yeah, because
I'm free.
sometimes churn a lot and they become more heavy, but I think you're saying you churn but become more light as you're churning.
Yeah, you know, it frees you up basically when you go, aha, now I see, now I understand. Yeah, and that is very smile consistent.
Yeah. Next question is, someone is asking that I have started my spiritual journey. She has read your books as well, one of the books. And how do I visualize newness in my meditation practice? I am not able to visualize new things, but how do I do that?
Don't try. Stop trying. Stop trying to force yourself into seeing the newness or being newness, and just meditate. You know, understand, you know, the practice of meditation is each one of us experimenting. And we all find different things work at different times. And so just allow yourself to meditate. And newness will occur, newness will arise. You know, after your meditation, if you're engaged in some kind of expression on paper, you find new ideas come up, new ideas, new insights arise after you've meditated. And so it's different for different people. If you're doing something in the office, you might find yourself suddenly feeling very light, and because you had a morning meditation earlier in the morning, and you feel a lightness at, you know, halfway through the day. And so there's a connection between the two, you know. It's everyone's different.
Okay, so you showed us 4 slides. First, the ones who have missed, we'll give you all the materials later. The first one is about the mind. The second was the intellect. The third was about consciousness. And fourth was about karma, which was a big Pandora's box you said you're opening. This question is about, The brother is asking that what is the best and the easiest and simplest way, the best, the easiest and the simplest way to open the closed mind?
Oh, okay. The best way is Murli, meditation, seva, and yoga. Keep doing those four things every single day, and I guarantee your mind will become easier and more open and broader until it is not necessary to have a mind at all.
Okay, that's what you do. In the end, you throw a big bouncer. That's good. Okay, the next question is how to finish that unfinished business which you spoke about.
Well, that's really down to the soul going more deeply and in connection with God, of course. That energy is there to take you into a deeper place, and you realize that before you regretted making the mistake in your interaction with others, which left you with a memory of unfinished business and heaviness, basically. But the more deeply you go into yourself, the more you apply your light. You know, it's like the sunlight is a great healer of a physical wound, you know, sunlight and ointment. And so the equivalent for healing of of unfinished business or finishing that business in consciousness is taking the light of the source and applying the ointment, which is a deeper level of understanding every day, deeper and deeper and deeper. So you're applying light and ointment, which is essentially what heals the wound that you've created in your consciousness by doing something which was not, you were not in your natural state. You were doing something which was inaccurate, yeah, which you possibly regretted. And now that you've put that light, that ointment, that understanding onto it, that regret disappears. Yeah, and you're beginning to finish it. And so you're feeling lighter. You drop it and you feel lighter and you feel okay. I think that's the best description I can come up with, yeah, to heal yourself.
Right. And the common question which quite a few people ask, and a few have asked here as well, that how to develop concentration in meditation. Do you want to? Or
Well,
there's
you
no
have
need
to be,
for concentration.
yeah, you have to be careful. There's, in a sense, there's two kinds of concentration. One kind is where you try and force yourself to be focused. Yeah, and so that's force, and there's going to be tension there. Yeah, you're creating a tension within yourself. Oh, I've got to be concentrated. Here we go now. And you're being quite serious about it. But then there's a natural focus. And so that's about finding your natural focus. Focus on peace, for example. And so you just generally, gently focus your mind on being peaceful. I'm just going to be peaceful and quiet and calm now. Yeah, and you'll find that naturally emerges, you know, your focus on peace. Yeah, and then you can begin to dive more deeply, dive beyond that state of mind. Yeah, and the more you dive, the more peaceful and more peaceful and more peaceful you become. That's a natural way to do it. Just remember your true nature and begin. Although I talked about the qualities of being mixed in reality, just begin with peace or with happiness, contentment, and be content in the moment. Be content. And then notice what stops you, what gets in the way. You know, what gets in the way has a lesson to teach you. What are you attached to? You know, what are you doing that's disturbing yourself, that is distracting you? Or what thought is coming regularly to distract you? And that thought will probably, you will begin to see, is coming from your unfinished business, your unnatural business. It's all recorded in there and you're holding on to it. And so you got to let go of it. And so that will be also affiliated to a wrong sense of self. In other words, a misidentification. Yeah. In other words, you're still identifying with something, and you're still giving rise to that thought, and it's distracting you, and it's pulling you away from where you would like to be. And so you've got to go through that in a sense, and to see that for yourself, and to let go of that for yourself. And so it's innovation. It's innovation, and it's churning, and it's experimentation. Yeah. No two people are the same.
Yeah, right. In the meantime, if you all have any questions, you all feel free to ask. Maybe get up and you want to? Good. Yeah. And yeah.
Shanti, Brother George, it's nice to have you in Michigan. I always listen you talk, and so pleasure to see you here in Michigan. One thing, I have a question that Baba always said that burning the sanskaras. So how does it work? Is it burning sanskaras or merging and emerging works?
Just say that again a little bit. Just hold the microphone away slightly.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, I'm able to hear. That's clearer. Yeah.
Yes. So Baba says that burning sanskaras. Sometimes he'd say in a Murli, burning sanskaras.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how does it work, or does it just emerge and merge? That I'm not.
Both really. Your sanskars. What your sanskars have at the core, all sanskars at this time in the cycle, crude sanskars, body conscious sanskars, the sanskars that make up your personality now, is that they all have at the very core attachment to a belief. Yeah, that's what it is, attachment to a belief. And so what Gyan is doing, what knowledge is doing, is it's coming into your consciousness, and it's if you like, if in a crude sense, it's the truth. And so the truth is not a belief. Beliefs are static. You hold on to them, you attach to them. Whereas the truth is dynamic, is moving. And so it's coming in, and it's reminding you of what is real. Yeah. And as it does, it feels like there's a burning going on. In other words, the belief upon which the sanskar is based is kind of disappearing. It's burning up. Yeah, it's burning out. You don't, well, you sometimes might feel hot as you realize that it's the sanskar is based on a wrong concept, or a concept which is not accurate, a belief which is not accurate. And so you sometimes feel the heat, but most of the time it's just the aha moment as the truth seeps in. The truth of who you are, of what you are, of where you are, as that seeps in and takes over. Yeah, and that just quietens your personality, quietens the sanskar, quietens you, and so eventually you become a more natural human being, natural self.
Thank you, brother. One concept I really like what you're saying, that act of accordance with what is the true, and it says only subtle recording. So I really like the subtle recording, in the golden age, I believe. So thank you.
Even in the golden age, it's probably virtually nothing. Yeah, but it just increases as time goes on. That's what entropy does. The new becomes the old very, very gradually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so nowadays we're full of, oh my God, did I say that? Did I do that? Oh my God, there's something wrong with me. Oh no, and so people have all kinds of self-talk in their consciousness because of that, and that disturbs them, their concentration. They go looking for something to relieve the inner pain, etc. And so it's okay. That's just what's happened.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so wonderful. I think many of you now are aware of the words which we use, but just to clarify a few things, because we have quite a few new people also in the audience who don't know these words, like even Mike used the and you're also using here. But Murlis are the spiritual classes which we have in the mornings daily. And apparently today is a Saturday, but we also read the Sunday class, which is supposed to come tomorrow, but we read it today. So I had a question related to that, and it is related to innovativeness. And also it's about the glasses of our perception, which we are wearing. So for example, I met you a few days ago, and then I had a very bad experience, and I perceived it through the glass of my perception. So, can I be so innovative and new that when I meet you for the second time, I don't wear that same glass of perception because it is disturbing me itself? So, the question here is how to, it's a basic question that how do I, it comes very often in our spiritual class that we, we really start looking at others. I mean, what Baba, when we say Baba, Baba means the divine, we say our Supreme Father. He tells us that look at yourself. Your near glasses are not very good, but your far vision glasses are better because you keep looking at other people all the time and don't look at your own weaknesses. So I'm not trying to say that let's look at our weaknesses, but how to work upon myself so that I can transform the self first so that my glass of perception changes forever with everyone. So what are a few tips and tricks to do that?
Yeah. Many of your questions are beginning with the two magic words, how to. Yeah. In a spiritual context, there is no how to. There's no manual on how to do anything. You are a unique human being, a unique being that has fallen from a certain state of consciousness in your own unique way, absorbing your own unique beliefs and understandings. And so you will come out of that. You'll come through that in your own unique way. The only thing I would say is what we're talking about now is how much are you prepared to churn, to look at upside down, inside out, the relevance of the information that you're receiving from maybe an individual who's reading it every morning. Yeah, how much are you prepared to play with that, to say, well, is this true for me? And some bits are now, and some bits, well, oh, I don't want to look at that. But in a year's time, oh, now I'm ready to look at that. Now I'm ready to realize, that there's truth in that. And so, God, there's no how to. How do you ride a bike? I can't tell you how to ride a bike. You'll fall off, and you have to fall off and get back on and fall off and get back on and fall off, and everybody's doing that in their own way. And so there's you might be explained, or someone might explain the correct perception to have of someone, but you find it impossible to see other people like that today. But next week, now I understand. Now I get it. And then the week following that, do you know what? I was playing with this idea today, and in my own way, I was discovering how it was making such a difference to my vision of others. And so, wow, it's so true. I never saw this a few weeks ago, but now I do. It's just, it's called awakening, I think.
Right. In the interest of time, I'll take a few questions and maybe a quick answer. It's a basic question that how to activate our soul.
Activate our soul?
It's how to. You said don't ask how to, but any question will always start with how to.
Yeah, the soul is already active. It's just not acting very, very well. It's not acting in alignment with its natural self, the natural, it's like it's distorted, it's twisted, it's worn a lot. And so if you think about how everyone's twisted, and this is what I do. Everybody is a little bit twisted and has been for a long time in their consciousness, entertaining the inaccurate ways to hold different ideas, perceptions, etc. Now, if everyone has done that over a period of time, then Jesus, this makes the world incredibly inaccurate and distorted and maybe even illusory. And there's a lot of people out there now who are talking about living in the middle of an illusion. That it's not real, because everything we've done in the world has been unreal for such a long time. So, I mean, if you go down that
It's
road,
our internet or his internet?
then you can get ready to do some deep churning.
Okay. Okay. So we'll take this last question in the interest of time. How to be sure that I'm not creating more karma through my Lokik work? Maybe more bad karma or whatever, but some more karma through my Lokik work.
Well, you're always doing action. You're always acting in some way or other. And so then the question is, how accurate is the action that you're doing? And you know how accurate it is by what you feel, what goes on in your mind and your feelings following whatever the action is. So at the end of the day, if you feel heavy and sad and bad, then there's a good chance, it's not a guarantee, but it's a good chance that what went on during the day, what you did during the day, was not aligned with your natural self. Whereas if you feel good and content and satisfied and fulfilled at the end of the day, then there's a good chance that how you acted, karma is action, how you acted on that day, built up that towards that feeling, basically. That's the best way to sort of, it's not a question of how to, it's a question of, ways in which I can make sure I act in an accurate way from a spiritual point of view.
Yeah, so that's an amazing answer. So be accurate and make sure you're not creating something wrong. So thank you, Brother Mike, so much for this wonderful, I must say, new concepts and diving into the consciousness and really trying to make ourselves so innovative. We really have to keep churning. So thanks once again. And I would now request Sister Anu. We don't have the seniors around. Dr. Mehta had to leave for some reason, and Sister Claudia isn't around. So I would request Sister Anu to please propose the vote of thanks. And I would also request Sister Lakshmi, who is the center coordinator of Michigan, to, after Sister Anu says a few words, you can also say a few words about a vote of thanks. Thank you. So over to Sister Anu first, and then we'll have Sister Lakshmi. Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Manoj. Thank you, my brother. It's truly newness, so many aspects that we don't really churn, I think, very actively. We just flow with life and whatever it's outside, even though we have the spiritual practice. I loved many, many aspects that you have brought. But yes, to be open-minded, to flow with the drama and not being stuck with the experience. And that was really beautiful how you said that the experience, we define qualities by our one experience, and we stick to that this quality or this value must be felt this way, and that is what is the limited vision. And values are much beyond than any one particular experience. I love that. And also you said that be content with being no one. Yeah, and that's a big thing. We also are stuck with the defined me image, the physical existence and achievements. So that makes me discontent. And definitely have brought very powerful new perspective about karma. I'm not doing any karma. Like nobody is creating the karma with me. It is me who is just being influenced by my own sanskars, my own past experience. And that is also, you said, as a wound in your consciousness. And that is what has to be healed through taking the power from the source. So many points. Amazing. Thank you so much. Each one of us, I'm sure, are taking in and will churn more, look through your points, and progress in the spiritual context. Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you very much.
Brother.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Sister Anu. Yeah. And before we go on to the announcements, so Sister Lakshmi, a few words on vote of thanks, and also she wants to do some announcements. Yeah.
She just
Yeah,
wants to
sure.
share something.
Yeah.
Brother Mike, I've admired you from afar, and everyone that comes to Michigan Center, I tell them to go to Relax 7 website. To me, it's like a Bible, mini Bible. And you have helped me in so many ways, but you don't even know that you're helping me. And I thank you very much. I met you many times, but never known you. I mean, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity done by this beautiful.
Thanks to the divine. And thank you.
Thank you, Manoj Bhai, and thank you, everyone. And it's been a pleasure. And I never thought I'll see a day in my life where I'll be hosting Brother Mike, my favorite brother, one of my favorite brothers.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, that's the same thing. When I heard that, I felt like, one by one, you opened the Pandora, just like brother said. You went in the ocean of, and the deep ocean that you can get one pearl after one pearl after one pearl.
Mm.
Wonderful experience, wonderful openness. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
so thank you. Yeah, thank you so much to all of you, for the ones who are sitting here as well and online as well. So over to Sister Anu for the photograph and the announcements. Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly. I'll take you all through the announcements, the coming up programs. We'll have the workshop on innovativeness and newness, the same continuation. Further, I'm sure we'll explore more and deepen the understanding of this value through the workshop. That's happening on 15th of June, Saturday, same time. And we'll have Sister Aruna joining from the Global Retreat Center in Oxford, UK. So please mark your calendar and join us then. And the next episode 93 is on strictness, Sakti, we say in Hindi, but what is the value of it? And as you can see, the other Hindi word is niyam nishtata, kind of being strict with our own discipline. So I'm sure we'll have our senior sister, Asha Didi, joining from India, Om Shanti Retreat Center, and she will take us into a deep insight on this value. So join us on 22nd of June, Saturday, same time. And all our, check us out on our websites. That's vihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. And all the videos, including today's video, you can find on our YouTube channels. That's Vihasa India and Brahma Kumaris Vancouver, and in all other languages as well. And these are also the playlists. You can find all the episodes in this playlist. So you can mark this page to check us out. Thank you, everyone. And let's just take a photo as we always do. It's a virtual photo, so we don't want to miss it with Brother Mike. I'm sure everybody is taking home an open mind today and will continue further. So everybody, you can open your video if you want to be in the photo. Giving still a few seconds. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Manoj.
So thank you so much. And before we close, we'll just go into the meditation mode with Brother Mike. So maybe you'll do a commentary or drishti, whatever suits you. So some commentary should be.
I'll do a little commentary. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So just to relax your body in the chair. Don't look at any screen, so that will just distract you and push you into labeling and judging. And just relax your gaze. And enjoy the relaxation for a moment. And is there any tightness or tension around your body? Then look into it and watch it dissolve. Then bring your attention to yourself. And in your mind, you can create one thought. A simple thought. A starter. I am a being of peace. And this is your point of focus. But not in a forceful way, in a gentle way. Allow yourself to be calm and quiet. And know that any realization that you need in the moment will arise in your own consciousness. Don't let the mind define what that might be. Just be quiet and calm and allow. Allow feeling to emerge naturally. Let the mind be so quiet let your being be so still. And just be aware that you are beyond. Unlimited, beyond. Good. Thank you.
So thank you so much once again for your words of wisdom and for your presence. Thank you. Thank you all of you for joining, the interpreters, translators, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you again. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. See you again soon. Thank you, brother.